Hi everybody. Today's lesson's on symbiosis. Symbiosis defines a close relationship where two species are living together over a period of time. Now there's three different types of symbiotic relationships. The first of which is mutualism. In a mutualistic relationship, both organisms benefit by being in this relationship. If you're a plant, one mutualistic relationship that is very important is the relationship that exists between flowering plants and their pollinators. So, for example, when the plant produces a flower, the bee will come and visit the flower, right? The bee visits the flower, and the bee's benefited because it gets pollen, which is an important food source for the bee, right? The adult bee eats it, and they can take it back to its hive, make it into honey, things like that. The flowers benefited because the bee is the most efficient way that it can get its pollen transferred to a flower of another plant, right? Which is an important step of reproduction. Right? Pollination is not the only mutualistic relationship that plants form with animals, though. Right? Here, we see a tree in Africa called an acacia tree that forms a symbiotic relationship with these ants. Right? It has these thorns that have these swollen bases. Not only can the ants live in these swollen bases and raise their young there, right, but this tree also kind of like oozes up some nectar in these little glands right here that the adult ants eat as a food source, and then further back on the leaves, it actually provides these little pellets as a food source for the ants' babies. Right? So here you have a very close relationship between the ants and the tree. The second type of symbiotic relationship is commensalism. And in a commensalistic relationship, one organism benefits, but the second organism is not really affected at all. There's a group of plants called epiphytes that have a commensalistic relationship with larger plants. You see, epiphytes don't grow in the ground like most plants do, but they grow higher up on the branches of large plants. So here, the advantage goes to these little epiphytes that are growing on the branches of the larger plants. The larger plant's not really affected by the presence of this little bromeliad, which is an epiphyte. Right? However, this one is benefited, this little bromeliad is benefited because it grows in a crowded tropical forest, right? And if you're this little bromeliad and trying to grow on that forest floor, you're not going to be able to give them light that you need to photosynthesize and grow. So, by growing high up on the branches here, you get better access to sunlight. Again, the tree that you're growing on is not really affected at all, right? Its survival is not impacted by this little bromeliad here, but this bromeliad gets benefited. The last symbiotic relationship is probably the one that you're most familiar with, and that's parasitism. In a parasitic relationship, one organism benefits, that organism is the parasite, and the other organism is harmed. The organism that's harmed is referred to as the host. So, an example of a plant parasite would be like mistletoe. So here we have a larger tree. However, this plant right here is growing directly off of that tree, and this is the mistletoe here and here. Okay? Now the mistletoe is different than an epiphyte. The bromelia that we saw on the previous slide didn't steal water and nutrients from its host plant, alright? It just had roots that grew around the host plant, but it was responsible for collecting its own resources. However, this mistletoe has roots that grow directly into the vascular tissue of this larger tree, and it steals water and nutrients from its host tree. Now, in order to get up there, the mistletoe needs help from this little bird. You see, the mistletoe produces a berry that has very, very sticky flesh, right? So this little bird eats the berry from the mistletoe. However, when it comes time to poop, the mistletoe fruit makes the bird's poop extremely sticky, so now the poop is stuck to the bird's butt, and the only way the bird can get the poop off is to wipe its butt onto the branch, therefore gluing the mistletoe seed high up on the branches. When that seed germinates, like I said, the roots will grow directly into the vascular tissue of that larger tree, and that mistletoe becomes a parasite, stealing from its host tree. Alright guys, we'll stop right there for today's lesson. Thank you.